That's my word for founders and community. If you're in this community, if you're a founder or a community member in this small community, this is an opportunity for you to look at the opportunities that lie ahead, the opportunities to change, the opportunities to reinvent yourself, the opportunities to create something new. That's the way that I look at it. What's up, internet friends, founders, and the Entrepreneur Curious? You've made it, and you're here. It's Venture Daily, news bits from a founder's perspective. What's up, guys? It is Friday after all, and I hope that you guys are staying safe out there, whatever that means. I know many of you guys are probably into your first full week of working from home, and I know that by following Twitter, that many people are already getting cabin fever. I wish I could give you guys some sympathy or some empathy toward, I guess I can be empathetic and sympathetic because I understand exactly what that's like, because I wouldn't say that I'm cooped up in my own on my own world here, but you know, I've been working long distance for over a decade. Actually, I've been working in many ways remote for probably closer to 15 or 16 years now. So for me, welcome to my world. Welcome to the world of self-quarantine of sorts. But I'm not gonna spend too much time talking about all of this. What I am curious about are the two articles that I crossed over today. And I want to go through them. The first is around coronavirus. Now, obviously, we're talking about this, but coronavirus is forcing Italy, that's right, forcing Italy to become a digital country. Now, I'm curious about this because I know, and this is one of the things I'm excited about. I know it sounds weird to say it this way, but one of the things that I'm extremely excited about is how this is going to affect the entire world, moving us to a remote first, digital first, webinar first, Zoom chat first, Slack first, Discord first world where everybody's going to be working from home. I'm actually excited about this because this type of change is going to be great for mobile technology, streaming, video, and content creators, which I am obviously one of these. So I'm interested to see what this author has to say about Italy now being in lockdown and how that's forcing them to become a digital country of sorts. The next article that I want to read is How to Thrive in a Crisis. Now, I don't know if I would, sometimes I want to watch my words closely, sometimes I guess I don't. The crisis seems like it's overblown, but then again, you guys can comment below and tell me that I'm ignorant and that I don't know what I'm talking about. But I am actually really excited given the context of what's going on today. And I believe and I feel like I'm thriving, or I can thrive, within all of the madness that's going on in the world. So I want to talk about that with you guys. I want to read the article, and then I want to talk a little bit more about how I'm taking on this coronavirus, this COVID-19 issue in my life. And so that will be the final words for today for founders and community. Guys, it's Friday. I hope you're having a safe time. I hope that you are living it up as best you can. And I'm just glad to be a part of your day. Smash the like button, guys. Let people know. Subscribe if you're new here. And let's just jump in to Venture Daily. How the coronavirus is forcing Italy to become a digital country at last. This is by Federico Guerni. Every cloud has a silver lining, they say, and Italians do not need to find some consolation at a time when our usual life hangs in a sort of limbo, waiting to be reactivated. It's certainly a small thing compared to the grief and losses of many, but the coronavirus emergency is forcing citizens and institutions to come to terms with digital technologies at last. And guys, this forcing function, I've tweeted about it before, but this forcing function I actually really appreciate. For many years, the country steadily ranked among the less advanced European countries in the Digital Economy and Society Index published by the European Commission. As of 2019, 3 out of 10 people in Italy were not regular internet users yet, and more than half the population is still lacking basic digital skills. Only Greece, Romania, Bulgaria, and Poland fared worse. That's likely going to change. Closed in their homes, not even allowed to take a stroll without carrying a self-signed document that explains where they are going, people are inventing new ways to stay together, work, and have fun. Ways that, needless to say, rely on the internet. From theaters to museums, culture moves online. Lots of live events have been canceled, but culture doesn't stop. From Genoa to Turin, from Palermo to Milan and Parma, theaters have found alternative channels to communicate with their audience. Under the I Resto Casa, I stay at home hashtag, the Carlo Felice Theater in Genoa is streaming everyday pearls from its archive. Connect at 8 p.m. today, and Chavaski's The Nutcracker will be waiting for you, followed by La Boheme tomorrow. Opera and ballet, not your thing? Well, how about some classical music? Say Ludwig van Beethoven, directed by Zubin Mehta. They've got you covered. Just head to Palermo's Teatro Massimo website to get that. The YouTube channel of Venice's La Fenice is another unmissable bookmark if you want to enjoy some top-level shows for free. Museum and cultural institutions are also adapting. Milan's Trinale is organizing every day on Instagram. Da Cameron, a digital festival with well-known Italian authors, singers, writers, and journalists telling their stories, followed by Boccaccio's Footsteps. The Museum of Modern Art of Bologna is creating short videos in which artists exhibiting at the museum explain the meaning and the work behind their creations. And teachers are brushing up on their digital skills. Since schools of every order have been shut down by the government, the small Insegnati 2.0, or Teachers 2.0, closed Facebook group has seen an explosion in admission requests, skyrocketing to 36,000 members. Everyone is looking for advice, obviously, tutorials and quick tips on how to handle the emergency and avoid losing precious school days. How do you share your PC's audio with Google Meet? One member asks. In my school, virtual classrooms have been canceled. The network couldn't cope, says another. As in many other fields, Google here is dominating. Many Italian schools have subscribed to its G Suite for education. Microsoft Teams and Office 365 Education A1 are also widespread. For privacy and ideological reasons, not everyone is happy with big tech's access to school data. And for the perceived limits of these platforms, some are looking for open source alternatives. Jitsi, Jammy are among the best and most widely mentioned video conferencing tools, and OBS Studio, which is what I'm using right now, OBS is one of the best guys, is going strong for screen capture and live streaming. Besides mutual help on Facebook groups, there's no shortage of public and private initiatives aimed at helping teachers bridge this skills gap in the digital sector. The national TV broadcaster, for instance, has launched a new section on the Learning Channel of Rai Play with short educational pills for teachers. Following an agreement in the Ministry of Education, the famous Treccani Encyclopedia has made freely available to schools and students its e-learning platform, Treccani Schoola, to help them collaborate remotely. Will this in-depth immersion in new technologies leave any trace in teaching methodology, even when the emergence is over? It's too early to tell. It's clearly too early to tell. We're all just trying to figure out what's going on these days. Theoretically, schools should reopen in April, but much will depend on how the situation is evolving. Well, when it comes to remote working, guys, things are changing. For those that have been freelancing from home for a while, the current lockdown doesn't change much. But for many others, the need to turn to some sort of smart working to keep things going implies a huge shift in mindset and process. More for companies than for employees, perhaps. While corporations are more open, Italian SMEs that make the most of the country's industrial fabric, I don't know what SMEs, I know what SME means, subject matter experts? Or is it something else? Is it full-time employees maybe? Have traditionally been wary of letting their employees work from home, and that's the traditional worldview that's affecting people. People are working from home in Italy compared to the 14% in Netherlands or 6.5% in France. The reasons are mainly cultural. Italian companies are highly hierarchical, and bosses like to have their employees close, where they think they can better control them, I suppose. Besides that, productivity is not always measured on achieved goals, but is often confused with how many hours you spend at the office, with the result that people spend much more time in other countries drinking coffee. The COVID-19 may have an impact on that. Well, I don't know. It depends. It depends on where you are, I suppose. There's a lot of places in the world still today that are relatively unimpacted by COVID, and they're not doing anything and not changing anything. New legislation introduced by the government during the first days of the lockdown allows companies to implement forms of smart working without the need of previous agreements, as it was before. The financial newspaper Sole 24 Ore asked its LinkedIn followers to describe how their employees were taking advantage of the opportunity. The instant survey paints a black and white picture, with positive reviews as well as negative experiences by struggling white collars. Many commentators, however, on LinkedIn as well as newspaper interviews, see the disruption brought by the virus as an opportunity to modernize the Italian workplace routine. That's what I think. Not everyone could work from home, but according to some studies, more than 8 million people in Italy could benefit from that, up from 570,000 right now. If only a fraction of them would be involved, the landscape would change dramatically. Well, it seems like when it comes to Italy, this article is telling us that many institutions and many companies are merely, well, in one case, streaming entertainment to the masses so that people can have entertainment as they stay at home. When it comes to schools, they're using off-the-shelf systems like Office 365 or Google Suite so that they can connect with each other. I would highly recommend, if I were you and you're willing to pay a little bit of dime, sign up for Zoom.us. Zoom is a great tool which I've been using to connect all of my people, especially my the consulting firm. You guys probably saw that on Twitter, where I tweeted that out with our 10 plus trainers talking about how we can change the game and take advantage of this whole issue. And so it seems like when it comes to Italy, they're closing stuff down. Are they really becoming a remote first? I don't know if I was really persuaded by this article. This article didn't do a good job of telling me how overall Italians are fundamentally changing. What is going to be interesting to see regardless, is how this entire issue, this entire COVID issue, is going to be changing the landscape of the world forever. And that, I hope, is what this next author, Jody Cook, is going to be talking about in this next article. So leave your comments below. Let me know your thoughts on Italy going full remote or not. Let's jump in to the next news bit. How to Thrive in a Crisis. This is by Jody Cook. Going through macroeconomic turmoil, a recession, or global health crisis doesn't have to mean panic or disorder. I completely agree. I'm not panicking. Frankly, I don't work well under the duress of stress or fear. I'm not big into that, guys. It doesn't have to mean batting down the hatches and bringing on box sets either. Downturns, whether real or media made, doesn't always mean doom and gloom. Maybe this author is a little bit woke when she says media made doom and gloom. Maybe, just maybe, this is a bunch of hashtag fake news. Okay. Leave me a comment below if you disagree. It's not that I'm not saying it's fake news. I'm just saying it could be. There are opportunities to make the best of every situation, and it's mostly in the framing. Instead of recession, think reset, reinvest, reevaluate, and reinvent. Instead of idle self-isolation, think productively working from home. It's easy to manage a business when macroeconomics is on your side, but it still takes deft skill and planning to thrive in crises and uncertainty. Number one, see past the crisis. That's what I'm doing. At some point in the future, everything will be back to normal, whatever your version of normal is. This too shall pass. I agree. In 5 years' time, you might not even remember a specific crisis. You will remember, however, how you handled it, as will your customers. It's not just an opportunity to come up with ideas that make the best of an imperfect situation. It's an opportunity to show compassion and kindness, strengthen affiliations, and help people around you. Bulldozing through the weeks, making rash decisions might help in the short term, but in the long term it brings damaged relationships, loss of trust, and business that isn't future-proof. Each individual person and business is affected differently and can choose their own course of action according to their own needs. Making assumptions or sweeping statements or assuming everyone has the same needs will miss the larger picture. That's what I'm talking about, guys. Look at this as an opportunity to reinvent yourself, to take advantage of what's going on. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in my final thoughts for community and founders. Number 2, avoid the hype. Constantly checking the news for updates zaps productivity. That's right. Stay away from the tweeters or any of the socials, guys. It is a fire hose of nonsense. You already know. Quarantine or whatever, social distancing, whatever. And if your company doesn't let you go to work, figure out how to work from home. That's it. Limit your checks. Avoid opinion pieces and stick to the facts. Don't fall for the clickbait and don't feel the need to understand what's happening, blow by blow, in every part of the world. You can catch up when you're done with your own plans. Exactly. Now is the time. It seems funny to say this. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. But now is the time to focus on you. It's time to grow you. While the world is on pause, you should keep moving. Not only can you avoid the hype, but avoid feeding it. If you're creating content or adding commentary of any sort, stick to your own expertise. From Forbes' own contributor guidelines, do not write outside your swim lane. Well, that would probably be most of the articles written today. Most of those guys who write these articles, even this guy right here, probably doesn't know a whole lot of what they're talking about anyway. I'm serious. If your beat isn't healthcare, you should probably not be writing about treatments, disease spread, etc. It's a free country. You can write about or talk about whatever you want. It doesn't mean that you're actually informed. Don't give or share medical advice unless you're a medical professional. You can do whatever you want. If a topical issue or its resolution concurs with their brand and experience, there are multiple ways of adding value tastefully and helpfully. For example, culture expert Jane Sparrow, culture expert, is currently running free webinars on how companies can facilitate working from home in response to news of companies working around the world, instructing their teams to do so. It's an area she knows inside out, so she's taking the opportunity to add value to her network with an issue they might be struggling with. Number 3, be indispensable. Future-proofing your business and remaining viable throughout turbulent times relies on you being indispensable to the customers you serve. What do they need right now? A normal business operations being affected doesn't mean giving up on marketing or throwing strategy out the window. It means being smart, pivoting, and spending the time wisely. As the owner of a social media agency, being indispensable to our clients means looking after their best interests, no matter how the macroeconomics are involved. Creating the assets that will serve them well going forward. Positioning them as essential, not optional, to their customers in turn. It means knowing what to say and what to do and how your actions will best help our clients thrive. Get into the minds of your customers, understand their concerns, and take steps to preempt and alleviate them. Number 4, become an idea machine. I love this. This is me. This speaks to my heart, guys. An idea machine. When everything is going swimmingly, it's easy to take it for granted. When things are a bit rocky, come up with all the ideas you can. How else could we spend this time? Where can we repurpose resources? How else can we keep in touch? What is the most effective thing for us to do right now? And what can we create? Entrepreneur Accelerator Dent Global created a useful fact sheet entitled Avoid the Crash, which includes 5 steps to recession-proof your business. Andy Stubbs, owner of Birmingham-based barbecue food vendor Low and Slow, is preempting his events by being disrupted and has started cooking, packaging, and delivering his food to people's homes, complete with reheating instructions. Entrepreneur Natalie Sisson is currently making the most of a 14-day self-quarantine in New Zealand by writing her new book. That's what I'm doing. I'm very close to finishing my 3rd book, guys. This is a big, big win. Super excited about this. She created an Instagram post encouraging others in the same position to start a business, start a podcast, start a blog, start writing your own damn book. See mandatory self-isolation as an opportunity to test a company-wide working from home program. See the increased productivity as a chance to create new products or solutions or future plans. See an economic downturn as a chance to refine and develop your core offering. Ideas and breakthroughs turn obstacles into milestones. See the opportunities to progress your plans and serve your audience in different ways while remaining true to your business's mission and unique abilities. Well, I couldn't agree more here, guys. I really couldn't. I couldn't agree more. I see, and this is maybe just me, but I'm going to talk about it more during our founders' final word for founders in the community. I'm going to talk about it more, but I see this as a grand opportunity for reinvention and digging in. Let's get into it in just a second.
Did you know that there's even more value than just audio or video? Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at VC Hunting, and make sure to sign up for the VC Hunting newsletter, where you'll be able to get weekly news on venture capital, startups, founder stories, and the occasional wisdom extracted from Peter's brain. Go to vchunting.com to sign up. And now, back to the episode.
Welcome back, guys, to Venture Daily, one of the fastest growing daily shows in all of venture media. In today's final segment for founders and community, guys, I want to reiterate and rehash the article that we just covered. The answer is quite simple. When it comes to a crisis, when it comes to the world putting itself on pause, I don't know about you guys, but I'll tell you, from my opinion, I am invigorated. I don't know why. Why? I really thought about this. I really thought whether this was some sort of not masochistic, but it was some sort of finding the joy in suffering, finding the joy in crisis, finding the opportunity. That's probably the better way of saying it. Finding the opportunity in these variable times. You see, as I heard on the news that more and more companies were shutting down, closing their doors, moving to remote first, I don't know what it was in my gut, but I'll tell you guys, excitement, opportunity rose up in my gut of saying, wow, this is an amazing time. This is an amazing time that it's forcing a function. It's a forcing mechanism to force these companies to think differently about their workforce. Yeah. So people can't come in anymore. Well, how are you going to get productivity out of them? Well, you got to let them work remote. You got to start learning the tools of the trade. You got to start learning about the opportunities to leverage technology to make productivity happen. But not only this, since I've been in the training game, the physical training game, as I travel the world as a agile, certified Scrum trainer, agile coach. All of my trainings are in person, and so for me, this has been an interesting forcing function to have me consider deeply how to be able to provide value to clients by doing it only online. Now, I've done a lot of different types of workshops, behind the scene things, and online trainings, but they're only been an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours, these types of workshops. For many of you guys remember my Sunday sermons, #Sunday sermons back in the day. But I've never done 6 to 7 hour workshops online. So this is an intriguing challenge. This is an intriguing opportunity. How can I create an experience online for 2 full days of 6, 7 hours of work remotely with a group of people all over the world? How do I keep their attention? How do I keep them engaged? How do I ensure that they're getting the value they need? How do I ensure that they're getting the participation that is required to understand some of the concepts? This is an intriguing challenge, and it's forcing me to think outside the box. I ended up, as some of you guys saw on Twitter, being part of a company meeting with Agile for All, with 10 trainers, and all of them, literally the brightest minds in the world, training in Agile and Scrum. And what was really interesting, I will say, guys, was that, I gave an example. It wasn't a great example, and I got shot down for it, but I gave an example during our meeting, because one individual coach wanted to bring up the ethics and the morality of doing in-person classes. Now, if you think about that, you can fall on either side, right? Is it moral to host a public course where people from all over the local vicinity show up to be trained together? Do you have a moral obligation to do it or not? And I told them that I was uncomfortable with this moving into this conversation. And the reason I was uncomfortable moving into this conversation is because it doesn't matter what data you put in front of someone. Each individual can look in that piece of data and see something completely different. And the example I gave was, if you have an alcoholic father with two sons, one son can look at the father and say, I'm an alcoholic because I watched my father. The other son could be completely different and say, I watched my father, the alcoholic, and that's why I never drink. And so the alcoholic father can have two outcomes for his two sons. One could become an alcoholic like his father, and one could completely not become an alcoholic because they both watched their dad. And so here's the point. We have a negative, here's the point I tried to make with the team, is that we have a negative issue, an alcoholic father, coronavirus. Some people look at it and say, oh no, victim, victim, victim. How do we change? Let's react, let's be emotional. And some of us are kind of like, let's just keep moving on. Let's keep going. Let's keep progressing. Let's not put things on pause. Now, as you can probably imagine, I'm on that side of the equation. I'm on the world might be pausing right now. Yeah, the world might be reeling back and trying to figure out how to go all digital. But man, this is the time. This is the best time. I just maybe it's just the founder, operator, entrepreneur in me, but when the world is on pause, you know what that makes me feel? When the world is in pause, it makes me feel like, holy cow, you have now given me an opportunity to catch up. And not only giving me an opportunity to catch up with the world, but to create opportunities, platforms, functions, features, apps, ideas, services, products. When the world is on pause, trying to figure out what's going on, I want to blaze past it and create the next opportunities and obviously monetize or find an opportunity to make money on it. I mean, I'm not the type of guy to go out and, buy 17,000 cases of hand sanitizer. Like, that's not my thing. But for me, in the service world, in the product and service world, like, putting the world being put on pause excites me. It excites me. And what's so fascinating is that I've spent so much time over this last week and over the last weekend, and surely coming into this next weekend for sure, thinking about how I can create new businesses around this, new businesses around these constraints. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's invigorating. It's exciting. And so I don't know about you guys. I hope that you're not reacting and responding with fear, because the world's still a plane, right? And things are still moving, things are still going. Yeah, it seems like when it comes to the mainstream media and the tweeters and social, it seems like the world is stopping in its tracks, but that shouldn't stop you. And so that's my word. That's my word for founders and community. If you're in this community, if you're a founder or a community member in this small community, this is an opportunity for you to look at the opportunities that lie ahead, the opportunities to change, the opportunities to reinvent yourself, the opportunities to create something new. That's the way that I look at it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Am I off my rocker? Am I crazy for looking at this as an opportunity as opposed to just self-quarantining myself and being in a pity party in my home? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts, guys. I'm going to have a great weekend out at the track. Some would say, oh, no, you're going out. Social distancing. Guys, we're driving go-karts. There ain't nobody out there anyway. It's just us. Have a great weekend, my friends. And you know what? Maybe I'll do a live stream this weekend. Let me know if you lasted this far, and if you want me to do a live stream, leave a comment below, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. No, Monday.